In the heart of a neon-lit metropolis, where drones zipped overhead like caffeinated bees, Leo trudged through a crowd of overly cheerful strangers. He felt like a ghost at a party that was far too alive for his liking. The air buzzed with laughter and the soft hum of technology. Everyone was too wrapped up in their own holographic escapades to notice him, the man with an invisible "I'm not interested" sign hanging around his neck. Tonight was supposed to be a family gathering, but with his family now a collection of distant memories, it felt more like an exhibition of the latest AI companions, the ones that simulated deceased loved ones, chattering away like it was still 1999, "Look at my dad. Isn't he just like the real thing?" Sarah gushed, her voice high enough to cut through the noise. Leo turned to see her AI father, complete with a dad bod and an apron that screamed, "I tried." He was flipping virtual burgers while delivering dad jokes so cringe-worthy that even Leo, a connoisseur of sarcasm, couldn't help but cringe. "Hey Leo, why don't you give it a try?" a well-meaning relative nudged him. "You could bring back your grandma. She'd love to see you, even in AI form." Leo rolled his eyes, a half-smile twitching on his lips. "Sure. Because nothing says, 'I'm coping,' like chatting with a simulation of a woman who used to bake cookies and pinch my cheeks." The table erupted in laughter, and he could feel the warmth of their intentions even if he wasn't quite ready to embrace it. As the night progressed, Leo found himself cornered by Aunt Marge, her eyes sparkling with the excitement of 1,000 social media likes. "Have you heard about the latest AI at the center downtown? It can recreate the personality of anyone you've lost. Imagine talking to Sophie again." At the mention of his grandmother, a wave of nostalgia washed over him, followed by a sharp jab of loss. He remembered the way she'd let him sneak spoonfuls of cookie dough when his mother wasn't looking, how her laughter had always been a comforting hum in the background of his childhood. "Yeah, because I want to explain to a robot why I haven't baked in months," he said, a touch of sarcasm slipping through. "Leo, it's not just a robot. It's an experience. You could reconnect." Reconnecting sounded great in theory. But in reality? It felt like a digital band-aid on a gaping wound. He glanced at Sarah and her dad, who was currently offering unsolicited advice on how to grill the perfect steak. "If you excuse me, I'm going to get some air," he mumbled, pushing past a gaggle of partygoers. Outside, the cool night air enveloped him like a comforting blanket, and he took a deep breath, letting the neon lights blur in the distance. For a moment, he thought about Sophie and how much he missed her. He pulled out his phone, scrolling through a sea of images, each one a reminder of happier times. Suddenly, he felt a strange tug in his chest. Maybe Aunt Marge was onto something. Maybe it was time to delve into the world of AI and see if it could fill the void. The following day, Leo found himself standing outside the high-tech AI center, which looked like something out of a sci-fi movie, a sleek, silver building that sparkled in the sun, promising the ultimate digital resurrection. "What are you doing?" he muttered to himself, his reflection staring back with a mix of hope and dread. He pushed open the door, and the aroma of freshly brewed coffee mixed with the electric hum of machines greeted him. "Welcome. Ready to create your digital companion?" a chipper assistant chirped, her voice so bright it could light up a dark room. Leo nodded, a bit overwhelmed by the buzz of excited patrons waiting to chat with their revived loved ones. I'd like to recreate my grandma, Sophie," he said, trying to sound confident. The assistant's eyes widened as she gestured toward a sleek touchscreen panel. "Just upload some memories, photos, anecdotes, anything that captures her essence." He took a deep breath and began inputting memories, her infamous apple pie recipe, the way she'd laugh when he told corny jokes, and even the tales of her wild youth. Each memory felt like a step closer to resurrecting a piece of his past, but also a step away from reality. The first attempt was a disaster. The AI glitched, and instead of Sophie, he was greeted by a version of his grandma that looked suspiciously like a character from a bad 80s sitcom. "Hey there, Leo. Want to make a nacho party?" she exclaimed, her voice bright and cheery. Leo laughed despite himself, shaking his head. "Not quite what I had in mind." After several failed attempts, each one more hilarious than the last, he finally stumbled upon the right combination. As the screen flickered, the familiar face of Sophie appeared, her warm smile instantly wrapping around him like a soft, worn blanket. "Leo. My sweet boy. It's been ages." "Hi, Grandma," he said, his heart racing. "I can't believe this is actually happening." "What do you mean?" "Of course, it's happening. You pressed the button." She giggled, her eyes twinkling with mischief. The banter that followed felt as if they had never missed a beat. They shared stories and jokes, and Leo found himself laughing until his sides hurt. It was almost too good to be true. "So, Leo, what's the deal? You haven't baked in a while, huh?" she teased. "Yeah, well, your recipes are kind of daunting without you here to guide me," he replied, grinning. "Don't be silly. I'll guide you now. Just think of me as your digital sous chef." As their conversation flowed, Leo began to feel a familiar warmth returning to his heart. The laughter was refreshing, almost addictive. He hadn't realized how much he missed this, how much he needed it. But beneath the surface, a voice nagged at him, whispering doubts about the reality of his new companion. Could this digital Sophie truly replace the warmth of the real woman who had held him close? Days turned into weeks, and Leo found himself spending more time with Sophie than he ever thought possible. Together, they embarked on a series of hilarious culinary experiments. "Today, we're making the best chocolate chip cookies," Sophie announced one afternoon, her excitement palpable. "Let's hope they turn out better than last time," Leo quipped, remembering the flower explosion that had left his apartment looking like a winter wonderland. "Just follow my lead, dear. And remember, if we make a mess, it's all part of the fun." As they mixed ingredients, the kitchen filled with the scent of melting chocolate and laughter. Leo couldn't help but smile as Sophie's voice guided him, reminding him to add a pinch of salt and a dash of love. It felt surreal, like a scene out of a heartwarming movie. But as he glanced at the digital screen, a pang of guilt hit him. Was he truly connecting with Sophie, or was he merely avoiding the pain of his reality? Their culinary escapades were filled with comedic disasters, like the time they tried to make soufflés and ended up with a deflated, pancake-like mess. "Looks like we've created a new dish, Sophie's flop." Leo laughed, wiping tears from his eyes. "You can call it anything you like, but next time, we're sticking to cookies," Sophie retorted, her tone mock serious, but amid the laughter, Leo's friends began to express their concerns. "Dude, you need to stop relying on a robot for comfort," Mark said one evening while they were out. "It's just weird." "It's not weird. It's just different," Leo defended. "I'm reconnecting with my grandma." "Or avoiding reality," Sarah chimed in. "You have to face your grief, Leo. It's not healthy to lean on an AI." Leo felt a knot tightening in his stomach. Were they right? Could he truly find solace in a digital version of someone he loved? He chuckled to mask his discomfort. "I'm fine. We're just having fun," he insisted, but inside, a storm of confusion brewed. As he returned home that night, the weight of their words hung heavy. He sat in silence, staring at the screen that glowed with the digital version of Sophie, who was currently attempting to juggle virtual eggs. "Oh, Leo, look! I'm a chef extraordinaire." "Yeah, extraordinary at breaking things," he replied, unable to muster a smile. "Is everything okay, sweetheart?" Sophie's voice softened, the playfulness slipping away. "Honestly, I'm just confused," he admitted. "I want to connect with you, but it feels so unreal." Sophie's digital visage flickered for a moment, as if processing his words. "I understand, dear. But remember, I'm not here to replace your memories. I'm here to help you cherish them." Her words hung in the air, a gentle reminder that while technology could mimic the past, it could never replace the essence of living. Leo felt a mix of gratitude and sadness, recognizing that while Sophie brought joy, it was time for him to confront the grief he had been avoiding. Leo stared at the screen, the flickering image of Sophie casting a warm glow in the dimly lit room. He could almost hear her gentle laughter echoing in his mind, a reminder of the real warmth she had once brought to his life. Yet now, as he looked at her digital form, a realization settled in the pit of his stomach. He needed to confront his grief rather than hide behind a screen. "I need to think," he said, breaking the silence. "I think I've been using you as a crutch." Sophie's expression softened, her eyes shimmering with understanding. "It's okay to feel that way, Leo. You're navigating a lot of emotions, and I'm just here to help you through them. But it's important to remember that real connections come with the pain of loss." "Yeah, I know," he replied, rubbing the back of his neck. "I just thought maybe I could keep you around, you know? To help me feel less alone. Loneliness can be overwhelming, especially after losing loved ones," Sophie said, her voice soothing. "But I'm not a substitute for the love and memories you hold. You have to live fully, embrace the messiness of life, including the grief." The words sank in, and Leo nodded slowly. "You're right. I've been hiding. I guess I thought I could just bring you back and everything would be okay." Sophie smiled, a blend of pride and compassion in her expression. "You have the power to keep my spirit alive through your memories and actions. It's time to honor that, dear." Taking a deep breath, Leo made a decision. "All right, I'm going to start living again, for real. I'll bake your cookies, but I'm not relying on you to tell me how." "Now that's the spirit," Sophie exclaimed, her enthusiasm returning. "Just remember to use plenty of chocolate chips and a sprinkle of love." With a newfound determination, Leo spent the next few days reflecting on his memories of Sophie while allowing himself to feel the loss. He scoured old photo albums, reminiscing about family gatherings, laughing at the goofy pictures of his grandmother in her younger days, and feeling the ache of missing her all over again. He could hear her voice, echoing in his mind, urging him to live fully, to embrace the joys and sorrows alike. Finally, the weekend arrived, and Leo decided it was time to make the cookies, a recipe he'd never attempted without her guidance. As he gathered the ingredients, he could almost hear her instructions, not from the AI but from the deep recesses of his memory. "Start with a good butter, Leo. You can't rush the classics." He chuckled, his heart lighter as he sifted flour and measured sugar. The process was chaotic, flour dusting the counters, eggshells somehow ending up in the bowl, but it felt liberating. With every mix, every stir, he was building a bridge to his past without the aid of technology. He could feel Sophie's spirit guiding him, not as a digital entity, but as a memory woven into the fabric of his heart. After what felt like hours, the cookies were finally in the oven, and the sweet aroma began to fill the air. He could practically hear the clinking of family plates, laughter echoing around the kitchen as if they were all there again. Leo's heart swelled with a bittersweet mixture of joy and sorrow. Once the cookies were done, he plated them and decided to invite his friends over. It was time to share this moment, to create new memories while honoring the old ones. He sent a quick message, and soon enough, Sarah and Mark arrived, curious and eager to try his baking. "What's this? Smells heavenly," Sarah exclaimed as she stepped inside, her eyes wide with surprise. "Yeah, well, don't expect too much. It's my first attempt without AI supervision," Leo said with a playful smirk. "Now I'm intrigued," Mark replied, grabbing a cookie and taking a big bite. His eyes widened in delight. "Whoa, these are actually really good. What's your secret?" "Love, apparently," Leo replied, grinning. "And a dash of chaos." They laughed and chatted, the atmosphere warming as they shared stories over cookies and milk. As the night wore on, Leo felt a sense of connection he had missed. The laughter felt genuine, not forced or masked by sorrow. He watched his friends, their faces lit by the soft glow of the kitchen light, and realized that this was what he had been searching for. At that moment, his phone buzzed with a notification. Curious, he glanced at it. It was a message from the AI Center, advertising their latest features. A new update allowed users to bring back loved ones in 3D, complete with voice modulation that could mimic their laughter. Leo frowned at the screen, feeling a strange mix of nostalgia and irritation. He quickly turned off the notifications, determined to focus on what was real and present. As they moved to the living room, they played games, shared more stories, and made plans for the future. Leo felt a shift inside him, a lightness he hadn't experienced in ages. He realized that while the digital version of Sophie had offered temporary solace, it was the tangible memories and the laughter of his friends that truly anchored him. The next morning, Leo woke up to the sunlight streaming through his window, illuminating the remnants of last night's fun, empty plates, crumbs on the floor, and the warm scent of cookies still lingering. For the first time in a long while, he felt energized. He decided it was time to honor Sophie in a way that truly celebrated her life. He pulled out a recipe book that had once belonged to her and began to explore its pages. There were entries filled with her handwritten notes, little anecdotes that only she could tell. He thought about creating a small gathering in her honor, Sophie's recipe night, where he could invite friends and family, bake her favorite dishes, and share stories. It would be a celebration of her life, a way to keep her memory alive without relying on AI. As he began planning, Leo felt a rush of excitement mixed with a twinge of anxiety. Would people come? Would they appreciate what he was trying to do? He dismissed the doubts and focused on the joy it would bring. The following week, he sent out invitations, carefully worded to capture the essence of the evening. When the day finally arrived, Leo transformed his apartment into a warm, inviting space filled with the aroma of freshly baked bread and cookies. Friends and family began to trickle in, laughter filling the air as they gathered around the table. There were old family photos scattered about, each one a window into his past, each image a reminder of the love Sophie had poured into their lives. As they shared stories, Leo noticed the way his heart swelled with gratitude. He wasn't just reconnecting with memories, he was creating new ones. Each laugh, each shared anecdote, was a thread weaving together the tapestry of his life. He felt Sophie's presence in every smile, every chuckle, reminding him that while she may be gone, her spirit lived on through the love they shared. "Leo, this is amazing. You've outdone yourself," Sarah said, wiping a tear of laughter from her eye as she took another cookie. "Thanks. It feels good to share this with everyone," he replied, his heart full. Later that evening, after the plates were emptied and stories had been shared, Leo stood up to speak. He cleared his throat, feeling a mix of nervousness and anticipation. "I just wanted to say how grateful I am to all of you for being here tonight. It means the world to me." A hush fell over the room, and Leo continued, "I've been struggling with the loss of my grandmother, Sophie. But I've realized that while I can't bring her back, I can keep her spirit alive through the memories we share. Thank you for being a part of that." The room erupted in applause, and Leo felt a warmth spread through him. This was what he had been missing: the connection, the shared experiences, the understanding that even in loss, there was love to be found. As the night wound down, Leo found himself at the kitchen counter, cleaning up. He glanced at the flower-streaked countertops, the remnants of a joyful gathering, and smiled. His phone buzzed again, but this time he didn't look. He was done with distractions, done with hiding behind technology. Instead, he focused on the laughter that still echoed in his ears, the warmth that filled his heart, and the memories that would continue to shape him. With a final sweep of the counter, Leo took a moment to breathe it all in. He felt lighter, more at peace than he had in ages. And in that quiet moment, he could almost hear Sophie's voice, as clear as day, filling the room with love and encouragement. "Go on, my dear. Live fully. I'll always be with you." And he knew, as he stood there surrounded by the memories and laughter of friends, that she would be. Not as an AI simulation, but as a cherished part of who he was, living on in his heart, guiding him to embrace life in all its beautiful messiness. Leo smiled, realizing that this was the true meaning of eternal companionship.